Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I forgot to take my hat off. Idiot. All right, the first item on our agenda is hearing number 2410 for 310 Cambridge Street. The applicant can come up. Please state your name for the record and give us a rundown of what you are here for.
Ken Calabro. I'm the Director of Car Wash Division Manager for Prestige Car Wash. I was the one directly involved with the opening of the site at 310 Cambridge Street. We're here tonight to appeal some fines on a sign violation. And just to go through the order of operations here in the timeline. So on 12/23, we had a building inspection. We had a couple of minor items to correct. We did that. We got our final inspection and received our CO on December 26th of last year. All the signs were in place during the final inspection. There was no mention made of any sign issues at that time during the inspections. We then, in January, received some temporary sign violations. I spoke with the building inspector. We removed those signs. And then in, I want to say, in late February, mid-February, we received a violation on an electronic sign, a flashing sign. That was the second notice. On February 26th, I emailed Mr. Viveros to just ask like what was going on, because once we got our CO, I was under the impression that we were set and good to go, and there was all of these signs were in place. So, and not, trying to make excuses or anything, but January, February, March are our three busiest months. So we were up to our eyeballs, and we also had some trouble with the mail delivery. So I had a late response on the first appeal for the violation. So we appealed the second violation for the flashing sign, and that's what brought us here tonight.
Okay.
We have disconnected the sign weeks ago, so it no longer flashes. We're just respectfully asking for relief of the fines.
Okay. What was the date when you disconnected the signs? So you received the first violation on 2/16.
I believe I have the second violation dated February 16th. February 16th, I have a flashing sign violation.
Yeah, the
first one
second
was
violation was
February
March 19th.
The first one was dated February 8th. The second one was dated February 16th.
Yep.
That prompted my call to Mr. Viveros, and I was late on the appeal. So that one was denied. We received an additional violation on the 19th. At that point, we disconnected the sign, and I reappealed, and we filed that on.
You disconnected the sign on what date? I'm sorry.
It was right after the 19th, right after we got that.
Okay,
notice.
so we'll call it March 20th.
Okay,
You disconnected it.
that's fair.
Okay. So, all right, I'm gonna get some. You have anything else, or?
No, I mean, we've had a couple of administrative issues between the office and the mail delivery. I've been in touch with the route supervisor to make sure we're getting our mail at the site in a timely fashion. We walked in a couple of times, and there were just stacks of mail at the table at the entrance to the wash that the mail carrier dropped off. I haven't spoken to the route supervisor live yet, but we did get some mail the other day in the mailbox across the street. So, look, we're just looking for relief on the fines. We've disconnected the sign. It was a directional sign for the entrance to the touchless bay. it did serve some purpose, but we've operated without it with no incidents. I think we can continue to operate without it, so I'm not trying to get a variance for the sign.
Yep.
I just came here.
We're here for the appeal on the fine.
Correct,
So,
correct.
all right, I'm gonna turn this over to the members and let them ask some questions, so.
Sure.
Start with John.
Have the signs, have they come down? Have those signs come down?
They're up, but they're off. They're not wired anymore.
But they're still up?
They are. I can take them down.
Well, I would make that appointment if you get it done. All right, thank
I
you.
can take them down in the morning.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe?
No questions.
Mark?
I just had some questions on how many times that you were notified that this was an issue with the
Well,
town?
was it, so we had 3 notices, but I didn't get them in a timely fashion. Not saying that they weren't sent out timely.
Right,
I just wasn't made aware of them in a timely fashion, which prompted my phone call to Mr. Viveros to say, what is going on? I got my certificate of occupancy. Everything was up when we got the final inspection, and there were no mention.
So are you saying that you weren't aware that you were in need of a variance to install that lighting or
That's
the
correct.
sign?
There was a similar sign there before, under the former owner, but it was a solid light. It was solid red, and then after somebody paid and bought a wash, it would turn green. There was an additional sign inside the bay that would tell them to pull forward.
Right. So here's what I say, because we've seen instances of people who just ignore notices from the building or other departments and don't take it seriously. And so I'm willing to give some consideration, but I think it's important that a message be sent that, there has to be some response to
I agree
the
with
building
you.
inspector. You can't just,
I've been doing this for 30 years.
Right.
We've always worked with the cities and towns. We want to be part of the community. If, when we got the temporary sign violations, I spoke with the building inspector to say, you just gave me the certificate of occupancy. Why is there a problem with the signs that were already up?
but you,
And we responded, and we took them down right away.
okay, but I thought you said the 20th of March.
No. There were 2 different, there was, the first set of notices were regarding temporary signs.
Okay.
There were signs posted over the vacuum area that said, no loud music, but it had the company logo on it. There was a sign on the arm for the pay station that said VIP plan $19.99. He said, those have to go. They're advertising, they have to go. We took them down. That is, when I got off the phone with
Sounds
him,
like you were-
took them down.
You were somewhat responsive, but not totally
Well,
responsive, so I'm
When
just.
when I got them,
Yeah.
we responded.
Got it.
I mean, and I'm not trying to make excuses for not getting them in a timely fashion. When I got them as the operations person in the field, I responded right away, because I'm not looking to have a problem with anyone.
Right. Thank you.
We serve the town. I don't know if any of you are customers, but, we don't do
Nobody
bid.
is
What's that?
trying to punish, we're not interested in punishing, or at least my sense is, we're not interested in punishing people,
Mhm.
right? But simply to make them acknowledge.
Absolutely understood.
So
Absolutely
I
understood.
believe in some kind of consideration.
But I guess my question would be, why do I get my certificate of occupancy if there are sign violations?
But that's totally, as far as I'm concerned, very different from a town official notifying you that there is a violation and responding in a way that-
Understood.
that is
But-
responsive to that, to
But-
that official.
But in the beginning, I mean, when the when I reached out to the building inspector on the temporary signs. He called right away.
But to be fair, it sounds like you didn't really connect that well, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't be here. That's my sense, but.
When I was made aware of the flashing sign violation, I responded.
All right.
When I was made aware of it. Now, it wasn't timely, that's our problem, not yours. You know, I'm just coming here.
That's how the system works.
I
Don't
understand.
do it at a certain time, then this is fine.
I understand that, but if the signs were in violation when I got my final inspection, something should have been said during the final inspection, because we had the first inspection on the 23rd, and I had 2 items to take care of. And I asked the building inspector, I said, well, will you give me a temporary CO and I'll have these taken care of right away? And he said, we don't do that. He goes, you have to have it done, I'll come back first thing Monday. And I said, I'll have my guy here, you know, later today. And we got the 2 issues taken care of. And he came back Monday morning, and he said, you're good to go, come by later this afternoon, pick up your CO. But at no point was there any mention made of any sign issues. And if there was, we would have taken care of them during the inspection process, like when the electrical inspector came and said, I want you to label this, this, and this. So the electrician made note and labeled everything.
I would only add to what you've heard here, and I think we're kind of belaboring it a bit, but that the building inspector is a pretty powerful individual in the town, and I'm sure, you know, he needs to be respected.
There's no question.
And so that's sort of the point here, so independent of an occupancy permit.
We've gone through, in the last 24 months, we've probably went from 13 to 22 sites. I've worked with people in cities and towns, Malden, Medford, all over the state. I've never had a problem with anyone. They asked me to.
You have sign problems in Malden?
I'm sorry?
You have sign problems in Malden?
We did, but we fixed it. It was a flashing sign that they put out, they put up, and the sign changed too quickly or something, so we just had to make 1 message a day. But he notified us, talked to the marketing people, and they fixed it that day. But I mean, we've never had an issue with not getting along with the town officials, not responding. That's not how we do business. I just came here to say, look, this fell through the cracks. It was our issue, but we've been very responsive with the plumbing inspector, the electrical inspector, and the building inspector. You know, I was really looking to get that weekend in before Christmas. And he said, sorry, no temporary CO, but I'll see you first thing Monday morning on my way in. And he stopped in, and we had everything done. He came, and it was good. So at that point, I thought we were free and clear, you know? And then we got the temporary sign stuff. I called him. He returned my call. I said, okay, we'll take them down, we'll change them out. And that's what we did. And then the electronic sign came in. I just didn't get it in a timely fashion, or I would have responded to it a lot quicker. And at the height of our busy season, but that's my problem, you know, and there is no disrespect on our part to any of the town officials.
I have nothing further.
All right, thank you, Mark. Charlie?
I don't have any questions. I will say that I did speak with Mr. Calabro, and he did take care of it as soon as he got that second violation. Can't speak to the first one, but he did take care of it right after that, whatever that was. Other than that, I don't have any questions.
Rob?
Nothing.
All right, this is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on this matter? Don't everyone jump at once. All right, seeing none. Does anyone else have anything else to add before I ask a couple more questions? So I'd actually like to find out a little bit more about what was going on with the signs and talk with the building inspector. So we've obviously figured out we changed chair position, and so you were talking with Charles. This is new to me on this, so I'm getting used to what has come in on this. So everything's pretty much been submitted prior to that, but I'd like to converse a little bit more with the building inspector and find out where we're at with it. Would you be willing to continue it to the June 4th meeting so we can find out a little bit more info? That'd be
Sure.
2 weeks?
That's up to you, sure.
How does everyone else feel?
His violation still ticking.
What?
Yeah, that would be my question.
He doesn't have, no, he hasn't shut off. It's not-
Yeah, it's not,
Yeah, they're not.
it shouldn't be ticking while he's in the appeal period. Until we make
as
a
long as you use
decision.
them.
Yeah, he's got him off anyway, right?
Yeah, they're off.
Oh, absolutely. They've been, unwired. I'm not
Yeah,
an electrician, but you couldn't turn them on unless you were able to rewire the control panel.
If you're saying you removed it after that, we could call it does anyone have a problem with calling the date that they were turned off as 3/20?
320.
Okay, so let me talk a little bit further with the building inspector, and we can come back on the 4th, if everyone's okay with that.
You need a motion for that?
I do need a motion for that.
What's the next meeting?
June 4th.
So I'll make a motion to continue to June 4th.
Second.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to continue the matter of hearing 24-10 for 310 Cambridge Street for the meeting of, actually, I'm sorry, we didn't close the oh no, we need to keep the public hearing open, I'm sorry. So, for the hearing 24-10 for 310 Cambridge Street to be continued to the meeting of June 4th on or after 7:30 PM. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? 500.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Guys, thank you.
All right, the next application on our agenda, 24-11 for 3 Van de Graaff Drive. The applicant, please come up to the microphone. Please state your name for the record and give us a rundown of your project.
All right, Brian Mitchener. I'm here, I work for Sign Design out of Brockton, Mass. We are hired to install a channel letter sign for Fractal Health on Vandergraaf Ave, or Drive, sorry. What we're seeking is a variance in the square footage of the proposed sign for this particular building.
Okay, so, yeah, where are we looking at on this side of the building? I'm trying to pull it up on Google Maps to get a
Right, so,
better view of what is it facing?
okay, so can I bring this over to you guys?
Yes.
So there's the building. This was an older drawing, but this is basically.
Just hang on with the talk, because you gotta be on the microphone.
Yep.
So, is that the only one you have?
Yeah. I don't know,
Okay.
Maybe we're here.
All right, we can pass it around.
And that's where the sign is gonna go.
Okay, so yeah, just go back to the microphone, that way everyone can hear it at home.
Absolutely. So what that image shows is basically the scale of the sign to the scale of the building. Because I believe it's like the ordinance, it's 100 square feet. Is what it's allowed. This sign is currently at 358 square feet. But that number is taken if you were to draw a total rectangle around where that sign sits. So if you look at the channel letter set and the logo, that's basically all that's on the building, and it's the size of the letters. And so what they'd like is to keep this sign as proposed based on its location and the actual size of the building, and that it's in an industrial park, it's not in a residential area, it's only lit at night. And it's, as that image shows, that's what it looks like, it's gonna look like at night when it's lit. And that image will show basically what it is proportional to the building that we're trying to mount it on.
Okay. So, I'm just gonna give the guys a couple minutes just so they can all see it.
Actually, I have a question on the sign.
Yeah, let's start the questions, as these
Sure.
guys on this side already got to see it. Rob?
I have no question.
All right, Charles?
On the rendering that you showed us, it looks like there's a Fractal Health sign already on the building.
There-
Is that being moved, or is
No, that's a rendering. So that was just to show where
I
the.
thought you had.
Well, that's an older rendering. They've moved this, where that sign's actually located
Okay.
now, where they decided to put it,
Okay.
is where that square is. It's actually on the opposite side of the building now. It's not front-facing anymore. It's actually on the other side of that.
So it's not here, where you described it?
It's not. No,
It's on the other side of the
it's
building?
gonna be on the,
He has it.
Okay, so is it on the Route
Oh,
128
I see,
side?
I see.
yeah,
It's facing the
Yeah.
highway.
This side
Right.
is gonna be over
Can I
here.
see it?
This is the old Samsung Pay building.
I'm not sure what this building was before, I'm not from here, so,
That's facing 128?
Yeah.
yeah.
Here, if you want to come and take a look at my screen, I'll just,
So this is gonna be right there,
okay,
right on
so,
the left side, yep.
so it's facing, let me get my bearings and turn this back around. It's facing northbound. It's facing, you'd be seeing it while you're going southbound.
Right. I think, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where it's oriented along the highway, what side of it it's on, but. And like I said, when we submit these, that square footage is generally just how long the sign is by how wide the sign is. So kind of, you get that giant number on square footage, but it really doesn't cover that kind of square footage on
What
the
is the
building.
actual square footage of the sign if you do it the other way? Because that's how we normally do it. I mean,
If you were to do it letter by letter,
no, it was just a box in the.
right now, the way it is, it's 358.9 square feet.
That's going like this.
Yeah.
So you got all this
Yep.
not being used. This. You got square
I don't
foot.
have a major problem with it, but I would have said no, I would have been against this one, because I don't like seeing two signs at the same time.
And they won't, yeah, and they won't be, yeah.
You know,
So you will not have a sign on the
You won't have. two-
southern face of
Right,
it.
you won't have two signs on the same side of the building.
Just that one sign
That's
facing
it.
the highway.
Yep,
Yeah, there's two sides that face the highway currently, and you're only gonna be using the one, the southbound side.
there
The southern facing side.
is the sign on that.
What you pointed out on my screen is the
Right.
southern facing sign.
Right.
The
And-
old sign was on the northern facing side.
Right,
Okay. And get a little bit of clarification with that. So, well, let's go back to the order and the question. So Charlie, did
That's
you,
it for me.
you're all set? So John, you had already started on stuff. We'll start over with you.
Yeah, I know, I'm okay now.
All right.
See what the other numbers say.
All right, Joe?
No questions.
I like the location of it.
And Mark?
So is the rendering that you provided, is that to scale?
yes. Yep.
I have no questions. No further questions.
Let's take a look over again there. Okay, so there is no Gen Lab sign, or there is?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so there's no signage on that part of the building.
I'm not exactly sure because
Let
we're
me-
only working with Fractal right now, so when they submit these things to us, they're usually just telling us, this is our building sign, this is where we want it on the building.
Okay. Yeah, if there was a sign on the building, it would have still been under our jurisdiction anyways. So, all right, this is a public hearing, so, do you need this back, by the way? Okay,
We're good.
so I can give this to you. This is a public hearing, so any members of the public like to speak about this matter? Seeing none. All right, does anyone else have anything to add? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? 500. So, all right. Do we have any motions to make on this?
I will make a motion for a special sign permit for 3 Vandegraff Drive to install a wall sign proposed to be 10 feet 2 inches in height by 35 feet 6 inches in width, 359 square feet, boxed in to read Fractal with a logo, with the limitation or restriction of no more than 90 lumens per square foot. And I don't know whether there wants, you all
No other
want
signs.
any other restrictions.
No other signs.
No other signs, even if by right. And it would be in conformance with the plan date on the plan attached to the application dated February 17th of 2023.
Second?
All right. The motion has been made and seconded for a sign for 3 Vandy Graft Drive, for a sign 10 foot 2 inches in height, 35 feet 6 inches in width, 359 square feet, to read Fractal, with a logo, with a restriction of no more than 90 lumens per square foot, and no other signs, even if by right, in reference with plans dated 2/17/23. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Can I just add something real quick? Can you mention health in that, because that's part of the sign? Fractal health?
So it's in we already voted.
All right,
But
just wanted to
it's,
make sure. Okay.
we voted in reference to how your
What this
plan is
here. Okay.
submitted.
I just need to confirm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yep, no abstentions, 5-0-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda, new hearing 24-12 for 1 Raymond Road. Can I please have someone read that into the record?
Yes, sir. This is, the applicant is seeking a variance for a land transfer and lot line changes to make the lot more non-conforming. Request below, in conformance with the request below, subparagraph 1, an area variance allowing the lot to be reduced from 7,950 square feet to 7,832 square feet. And subparagraph 2, a setback variance allowing the house to be 14.3 inches from the rear lot line after the lot line adjustment per the letter from the building inspector dated April 4th, 2024, addressed to Thomas Murphy Jr. It reads as follows. Subparagraph 1, properties are located in the Zone RO, one-family dwelling district. Subparagraph 2, the zoning bylaw requires a minimum of 20,000 square feet of lot area, minimum of 100 feet of frontage, and a minimum of lot width of 20 feet. Both existing lots are pre-existing non-conforming. Structure on 1 Raymond Road appears to be conforming. Structure on 17 Church Lane is non-conforming. The parties and transfer would make 1 Raymond Road lot more non-conforming and would create a new non-conformity for the structure's new setback. The request would, at a minimum, require an approved variance from ZBL 5.1.2.2, division or reduction in area and rear setback requirement for 1 Raymond Road to be reduced to 14 feet 3 inches.
Thank you, Mark. All right, Mr. Murphy.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, or good afternoon, or good evening, Mr. Chairman. It's been a long day.
Thank you for all.
I'm here tonight on behalf of 2 property owners. The 2 properties mentioned in the legal notice are neighbors. 17 Church Lane is owned by Dennis and Diane Lever. Mrs. Lever is here in the audience this evening. 1 Raymond Road is on the corner of Church Lane and Raymond Road. That's owned by Mr. Ray Wu and his wife, May Lay. They're both here this evening, along with their attorney. So they're both available for any questions that might come up from the board as we go forward. But basically, by way of background, Mr. Chairman, as I said, these 2 properties are adjacent. This area of town is on Church Lane. It's one of the older neighborhoods in town. All the lots down there on the other side from Simon's Park were all created by a subdivision plan back in 1913. So virtually all of the lots are subsidized down there, including these 2 lots. 17 Church Lane is about 5,900 square feet. 1 Raymond Road has about 7,800 square feet. They're both grandfathered lots. The Levers bought their home back in the early 1990s. They've been living there since then. At the time, the neighboring house was owned by a Jordan family. They'd been there since the early 1950s. had a small ranch on it. Mr. Jordan died around 2018. His family sold the lot. A builder came in and built it, bought it, built a new house on it. And Mr. Wu and his wife bought it from the builder, so they've been there for a couple of years. At the time that the new house was being constructed, and this was before the time that the current owners were in the picture, Mr. and Mrs. Lever saw where the lot had been staked out, and many of us don't know exactly where somebody's lot line is unless you've hired a surveyor to do it. It's always, yeah, it goes to the bushes, it goes to the rock, whatever. When it was actually staked out, the staked lot line was closer to their house than had traditionally been the case between them and the Jordans. They'd been neighbors for many years, and there was some bushes and stuff, and it was kind of this side is ours, that side is yours. So in any event, they talked to the builder at the time, explained the situation. The builder said, okay, I'll push the line back a little bit. He actually constructed, I don't know if anybody had a chance to drive by, but there's a retaining wall between the two properties. In the proposal that the builder had said to Mr. and Mrs. Lever was, you know, you'll go up to the retaining wall, and then the rest of it would be mine. So that was fine. They built the house. These people bought it. Mr. and Mrs. Lever thought it had been squared away. Learned afterwards that, in fact, it never legally was changed. And long and short of it was they wound up filing an adverse possession claim in the land court. And without going on the detail on the adverse possession law, you have to show that you've been using it for at least 20 years, and they've been using it for a lot longer than that. So in any event, the parties, it was a land court action. Parties both had lawyers, worked their way through it. They finally worked out an agreement that they can both live with to get rid of the court case and get rid of the dispute. I submitted a copy of a plan with my application, which was kind of hard to see, so I had it blown up. The chair permission.
Yes. Thanks, Tom.
But the
Tom, want to actually turn the microphone towards you a little bit? I don't know if people at home are having trouble hearing or not.
The long and short of it is, the parties agreed that the area on the plan that I just gave you, which is shaded in blue, was going to be conveyed from the owners of 1 Raymond Road to the owners of 17 Church Lane. As you can see, according to the plan, it's labeled as Parcel A. It's a 118 square foot parcel. If you start at Church Lane, there's about 3 feet of frontage on Church Lane, and it tapers down into like a long triangle, about 77 feet down to the property line. And as you can see, there's a notation on the plan showing where that stone retaining wall is. So essentially what's happening here is that the owners of 1 Raymond Road have agreed to convey to the owners of 17 Church Lane that little strip of land on the 17 Church Lane side of the stone retaining wall. By doing that, the 1 Raymond Road lot, which is now currently a non-conforming lot, becomes further non-conforming, so it loses its grandfathered status, and as the building inspector said in his letter, it's necessary to get a variance. Also, in doing what is being proposed, it brings the property line a couple of feet closer to the 1 Raymond Road structure than what it currently is. It had been in conformance because it was 15 feet setback. It's now 14 feet, 3-inch setback, just because we're moving the lot line a couple of feet. So there are 2 required variances in order for this settlement to go forward. One variance is an area variance, keeping 1 Raymond Road as a legal non-conforming lot with 7,832 square feet of land. It also allowing the house to be maintained in the property at 14.3 feet from the property line. So that's essentially the two variances that are being requested this evening. Running through what the board understands the necessary criteria, I would submit that there's clearly condition of both lots here, but in particular the one Raymond Road lot. It's obviously a small lot, was created back in 1913. And so even though this is a de minimis, I would submit transfer of property, 118 square feet of land, it does matter because this is a subsized lot. It certainly does not create any sort of conflict with the intent of the bylaw. This is two lots, it's been two lots for over 100 years, two structures on it, it's going to continue to be as such. And there's no detriment to the public good. I would submit it's actually a benefit to the public good, as we have two neighbors here who have been going through a legal proceeding, which nobody likes to do. This allows them to resolve this, continue on with their respective houses, and the only property being somewhat affected by this is the Lever's lot, and they're getting an extra 118 square feet of land, so obviously they're happy with this proposal as well. It gives them a little bit more room on their side of the boundary line. So that's the gist of it, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, if there's any specific questions, the parties are all here in the room, and we're happy to address any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Let's start hearing from the board. John?
Really, the only thing that's bugging around in my head is you've got two non-conforming lots. Why even bother go through all this? Why can't you just leave it the way it is? Because they're still gonna both be non-conforming, right?
Right, but we've got a land court action pending where the ownership of that little strip of land is in dispute. So unless it's resolved one way or the other, it continues to be in dispute, or the legal case keeps going. So if it stays, the Levers have made the claim that that should be their land because they've used it for more than 20 consecutive years. But that can only be determined by a judgment of a court. The parties, with their respective counsel, as they've worked their way through this, most people in litigation are better off resolving it that way rather than leaving it up to a judge.
Both sides are all on board.
Yes.
All right, I'm okay.
I was just gonna say, I can actually.
Come up to the microphone if you want to speak. Just state your name for the record.
Good evening, Board. My name is Attorney Sharon Petrillo. So as far as, because your question regarding the lots being currently non-conforming, under 40A, even if it's a non-conforming lot, you can't increase the non-conformity. So because the lot is non-conforming, but we're increasing the non-conforming status of the lot, we do require the variances.
You mean
Well, I
decrease?
get that.
Or
My
increase.
initial question was just that,
Yeah,
if there are
that
two
I forgot.
non-conforming lots, why you have to go through this? But it's because you have an ongoing legal situation.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Joe?
One Raymond Road, wasn't there a shed issue there at one point?
Yes.
That
There
I
was.
see that's not located on this recently. This plan is, January of this year, it's locating the shed on Church Lane, but it's not locating the shed on One Raymond. Was that ever
Yes.
rectified?
According to our surveyor, he was not required for this type of plan to show everything. If you'll notice, he also didn't show the deck that is on the Levis property. There's no north arrow on this, I can't see what side, but the Levis have a deck here, and that is also not shown.
I'm just worried about the shed that was an issue. Are they?
I don't know-
Is it
I
not
don't know
listed
what-
here because hasn't been rectified yet?
I don't think that has anything to do with this hearing.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I think that's okay, Joe. Put it this way, I didn't represent the Levers on this case, but it was not an issue during the pendency of this action. I understand that there was a previous, for this board, I believe.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, it's where it's supposed to be. The fact that he didn't show it here is just because it really wasn't relevant to this particular
I didn't know if they were hiding it because it's, the neighbor's sheds are located.
Yeah, I can't answer that other than.
I can.
Okay.
The only reason why the neighbor's shed is on this plan is because, as a part of our settlement agreement, they had to remove a portion of their shed. So it was important to this plan that the shed be shown.
I'll say, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Mark?
Nothing.
All right, thank you. Charles?
I don't have any questions at the moment.
All right, Rob?
No questions.
All right. I'm just going to double check something right now, but I did speak with the building inspector as far as the shed claim was going on. I said, was that ever resolved? And I was told yes, verbally, so I was just gonna double check on that, and that's great. And thank you, Mr. Wu, for getting that all straightened out. It's pretty cut and dry. You explained everything that has to go on there. It sounds like it's a better way to go and convey the piece of land rather than go into land court and go through a whole adverse possession claim. And we do understand what's happening here. So,
Just-
this is,
Just so the board knows, in the event that you do approve this, after the appeal period runs, we have to go to the planning board with an A&R plan to get that signed. And then at that point, we'll be able to convey the parcel from one lot to the other.
Okay. So this is a public hearing, so I'm gonna open it up to members of the public if they want to speak up and have anything to say on this matter. Anyone here? Seeing no one? All right. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Nope.
All right. Well, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. All right, so, just checking on this right now. I was checking on it, but it doesn't want to load. So I'm gonna take the building inspector's word as far as that goes. Do we have any motions?
Make a motion to approve the two variances requested in the application for 1 Raymond Road pursuant to the paragraphs, subparagraph 1 in the notice, seeking an area variance allowing the lot to be reduced from 7,950 square feet to 7,832 square feet. Do I have to do these separately or with a plan dated January 26th, 2024? Want to do these separately, sir? Or do you want to do them together? The second,
Wait, it's,
I think we can do them together.
I think we could do
Those
those
together.
together.
okay,
application, do it
under the subparagraph 2, a further variance for a setback variance allowing the house to be 14.3 inches from the rear lot line after the lot line, 14.3 feet from the rear lot line after the lot line adjustment.
All right,
Second?
so the motion has been made and seconded to approve the variance application for 1 Raymond Road to reduce the lot area from 7,950 square feet to 7,832 square feet, and a setback variance allowing the house to be 14.3 feet from the rear lot line. So, everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from April 16th. Actually says April 26, 2023. Oops,
24.
24. So the minutes from April 16th, 2024. We have a typo in there. Does everyone get a chance to review the minutes?
Yes, sir.
Anyone have anything additional to add?
No.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion,
Motion to approve the minutes?
approve the minutes for April 16th,
April 16th, 2024.
2024.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes of April 16th, 2024. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0. Anyone have anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0. Thank you very much. Have a good night.